Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at a very strong team for the current Fantasy Cup. This team actually went 10-2 for me with a 7-game win streak, so you kind of already see how strong this team going to be here. This is a triple fairy line, which is something that you rarely really see, but this team works still even though steal is allowed. And you're going to see it here right now because you're going to have a Pokemon in the lead that's going to have access to Overheat, a move that's going to shred down those steel type Pokemon. Our Sasop, the Xerneas, now with a new move Geomancy, going to charge super fast to the close combat, which can take on some steel types fairly easy, as you can see here already. And then in the back we're going to have the Tapu Fini, a Pokemon that's more of a generalist in this meta right now, which is going to be able to hit basically everything, and it's just a great answer for most like other fairy types actually, which is really cool to see. It just does so much damage with the fast move pressure, and right now we're going to have Tapu Fini versus Tapu Fini, but our Tapu Fini has basically double the amount of health, so we are just going to be able to just farm them all the way down, and the opponent decides to forfeit anyway. First game down, let's take a look at the next one. Honestly, can highly recommend you this team. It was so much fun to play, but also there are sometimes matchups which you don't want to face. For example, Scissor. You might already see my Scissor video before. This was of course before I published the team, so if this team becomes a little bit more popular with Scissor as well as a Sasop, here it's in the lead, it might be a little bit tricky, but my opponent stayed in for a little bit here, which is definitely beneficial for us, but still going to be a tough one. I'm going to shield up the Shadow Ball from the opponent's Giratina, which will allow me to go for a Moonblast, but I have to hope that I'm maybe going to be able to swap out later on to preserve my Tapu Fini, but no, they just decided to let the Giratina go down here, which will allow me to even get to another Surf against the opponent's Scissor, which is very nice, but still a little bit scary, as now we're gonna swap out into our Weezing. We can take one charge move from the opponent, but it's still not over yet. They're going to be able to go into a Flygon that only gets to one charge move, which is going to be the Dragon Claw right now, which is going to be double resisted, allowing me to go for a Play Rough, allowing me to knock them out. Or does it? It does not. And I'm actually going to allow them to farm me down here, as this is going to allow me to get to another fast move here with the Xerneas, and also get to the close combat in time in order to knock out the opponent's Scissor, and this is going to be a good game. Scissor, hardest answer for this team, no problem. Let's take a look at the next game here right now. Dragonite in lead. Where does this Pokemon want to go? And this is an amazing thing about this team. Also, one reason why you need Tapu Fini, Excadrill. Excadrill might be a little bit tricky otherwise, but you're going to have a great time against Excadrill with Tapu Fini on your team. But basically in a type matchup here right now, where basically only 3 types are allowed with Dragon, Fairy and Steel, if you completely cancel one of them out, you're always going to have a big advantage against teams that run this type, which is fairly common that people are running any kind of Dragon type Pokemon. So most likely this is also one of the reasons why this team worked out so well for me. But here we're going to be able to go for an aggressive farm down with our Geomancy Xerneas in order to knock out the Excadrill, and of course, what do they want to do? They're going to go back into the Dragonite, knowing that there is nowhere to go for this Pokemon, allowing me to knock them out, and also showing off their final Pokemon, a Magnezone. And yes, it's a Steel type, but also it's going to go down by just one close combat from a Xerneas, and this is going to be a very good game. Let's take a look at the next team here. We're going to have the Weezing in the lead against our Weezing in the lead. This is actually one of the trickiest matchups possible. Can't even talk anymore, but they're gonna go straight for the Overheat, so we're gonna go straight for the Overheat as well. But we got a little bit more fast move damage in, I guess, because we used it a little bit late. But I'm going to be able to now swap into my Xerneas. The opponent is double, now 4 times debuffed, so they're going to swap out, even though their move update, or basically their moveset, would be ideal against me, and like in general the typing, I cannot hit them for super effective damage. But like this, I'm going to get out the opponent's S-Cavalier, and I will be able to get them low enough that I can farm them down with the Tapu Fini, which is going to be amazing, as I can let one move go through just in case they have Acid Spray, which they apparently don't have, or they just didn't use it here. So we're going to get a ton of farm here right now. They're going to go into their final Pokemon, which is going to be the Dragonite, and I can go for the Surf, a Surf that's going to hopefully get the shield from the opponent, and it does. And you know already that I have a move start onto my Weezing, which is going to be very crucial, as we will be able to go for a Moonblast here, or at least that's what I thought, but no, they're going to go into their Weezing itself, and they're actually not running the double nuke set, they're running Brutal Swing, which is interesting, but I can farm them all the way down. I have a Moonblast stored, just gonna go for the safe play, one Moonblast here, and one Play Rough, well, yeah, it's a Play Rough actually, on this Pokemon here. I actually thought I had Moonblast, but no, there's Play Rough here, going to knock out the opponent's Dragon Knight, and we can move on to the next game, as again, there was just one dragon that had nowhere to go. Next opponent, Registeel, exactly what you don't want to face with a triple fairy type team, right? Let's find out if we can still manage it. We're going to be able to go for a charge move here with our Weezing, allowing us to swap out. I thought at least allowing us to swap out here, but we cannot swap out yet. And they're actually running Flash Cannon, valuable information, because now I have to shield with my Xerneas. I wouldn't have to shield here with my Xerneas otherwise, but with the information that they have Flash Cannon on this Pokemon, which is kind of rare because you kind of want to get rid of the Zap Cannon, which is a very strong move that is legacy, and like a lot of people don't really want to get rid of it. So here I will be able to just go ahead and go for a double close combat that is enough to knock out the opponent, and we will see now the Giratina coming in. Turns out I can just go for another Moonblast here, right? Definitely right, as this is going to knock out the next Pokemon as well. And in comes now a Flygon. They have double, they have double Dragon basically. Like, where do you want to go with this one? You want to go ahead and have a great time here against my Tapu Fini with their Flygon? You can definitely do that, because they're going to go for a Dragon Claw right now, which is not going to do enough damage. Allowing me to go for 2 Sirs here, as I'm going to have to shield up one move here anyway. But it's going to be so fine, like they have nowhere to go, they have nothing to do with their Flygon. Running 2 Dragon types basically is an instant win against you here, because like there's nowhere where they can really go, to be fair. So Surf coming through, Surf gonna get the knockout, and we win with 3 Pokemon left, which kind of shows how dominant this team can be while facing a Registeel with a triple fairy line. So next Pokemon coming up, Giratina. Where do you want to go? I have a player for here, I have a Moonblast on my other Pokemon and also another Moonblast on my Tapu Fini in the back, so have fun wherever you want to go. I'm going to swap out here just to preserve my lead, as I will be able to now get out the Empoleon, which is amazing. I have close combat on this Pokemon here right now. I don't know why they went into this one. It's way better for me to have it on this Xerneas right now, as I will be able to reach out for 2 close combats, gonna get Ball Shields from the opponent. But now we're going to be in a tough spot. We don't have a good answer for this Pokemon anymore, and I'm going to be forced to go for a charge move here, which is going to be, of course, our Overheat. But I will be able to swap out afterwards into my Tapu Fini, which is going to have a greater matchup here, as we will be able to resist the water type damage, as well as Drill Peck is not stab. It's a decent move, but it's not that hard hitting, so we can take 1, or we could even take 2, but we're gonna now see the Giratina swapping in against us, which makes it a little bit of a trickier one, as I'm forced to go for a Surf, and I have to hope that this is going to knock them out. Let's find out together. Does it knock them out? It does knock them out, and we find a final Pokemon here right now. Going to be the Escavalier, which is going to be an interesting matchup right now. But can I reach another Surf? This would be so amazing, and it is amazing, because the opponent is gonna go down to the Surf as well. Tapu Fini is just taking the opponent apart, as we can go for another Overheat and say goodbye to the Penguin here right now. I don't think it's legal to roast penguins in real life, but at least in Pokemon Go we're going to be able to overheat them and just send them back to their Pokeball. Next one, we're going to have a Registeel against us again. Another matchup that you don't really want to face with this team usually, but let's find out what move set they're going to run. They're going to run Zap Cannon. Interesting enough, but I should have maybe went for the Overheat beforehand, and there was definitely a mistake by me, because there's no reason not to do this. It doesn't drop my defense, it drops my attack. So this was kinda a nonsense play, not gonna lie, big mistake by me, which actually matters quite a bit, because otherwise we most likely would have been able to maybe get the opponent a little bit lower, but right now they're not in double close, they're not in close combat range. They're in double close combat range, but not in close combat range as far as I know at least. Let's find out here together, as this is going to not knock them out, but we have another one coming up here right now, which is going to do enough damage to knock them out. But in comes now the Giratina from the origin, but like it's going to be a little bit of a trickier one, because now our best answer is going to be our good friend Weezing, but Weezing is going to now go up against a boosted Giratina. There were some comments before under my last videos where like, oh yeah, you're always gonna get like those 10% chances, and here we go again another boost, which is not something that is very likely to happen, but of course against us it's always going to happen, as we're going to now get out the Flygon. We are forced to go ahead and go for a Moonblast, because otherwise a Surf just does not do the damage here, and we're gonna now be able to hopefully tank this Shadow Ball. Can we still reach the Moonblast? Yes, we can, and the boost just didn't matter, because my opponent decided, yeah, I'm just gonna swap out, I don't care about the boost. There would have been so much better off just staying in. I don't know why they did there, but we're going to still be able to win this game. Next game coming up, horrible lead again. Scissor is going to be the worst nightmare for this team for sure, way worse compared to Registeel, to Berserker, like any any kind of MEWeedle or whatever is way easier to deal with compared to the scissor. They're gonna go for the Night Slash as well, because why not gonna bait in a scenario where it's, I mean, yeah, that definitely does make sense. We're gonna have now the Dragalchi against us, which is going to be a little bit of a trickier one, as now I'm going to try to go for the Moonblast here, and I will be able to reach this one in time, forcing a shield from the opponent, which will be very beneficial for us later on, because now the scissor is going to be in a range where I can just go for one charge move and knock them out, but they're going to throw some gunk at us with the gunk shot here right now, as I have to let this next move go through. It's going to be the awkward tail, but I can preserve my final shield, which is going to be amazing for me, as I can then go ahead and go into my Xerneas against the incoming scissor right now and go for one close combat. This is all it takes to knock them out. Let's see what they're gonna do here. They're gonna go ahead and go for, let's see, most likely the Iron Head here, right? No, it's going to be Night Slash, great bait by them, and they get the attack buff, and this is going to be, of course, the Iron Head. Of course, we're gonna get the attack buff as well with that, because why not? This is my luck. But basically, this was one of the only losses with this team, and this was only down to the opponent baiting twice and the opponent getting us some luck there as well. So, totally fine for me. Like, losing games like this, it's just something that happens, but amazingly here my opponent decided to shield up their Empoleon already against the Overheat, which will allow me to just go ahead and go for 2 close combats. And I don't know if the Empoleon is going to be able to survive a close combat from a Xerneas. Let's find out together. Not this one, at least. Let's see which the next one you're going to do, like how much damage it's going to do. It does not knock them out, and they will be able to knock me out as well here with the incoming charge move of Hydro Cannon. But I will be able to get some farm with my Weezing, at least that's what I thought, but the opponent swaps immediately into their Giratina. But this is going to be fine, as I can still go for the player off here right now. This does not knock them out, as Giratina is insanely bulky, but I can swap out into my Tapu Fini and go for a full farm down, allowing me to get a ton of energy here for later matchups. They will be able to go for 2 Ancient Powers for sure though, so that's going to be it as well. It's going to do definitely some decent damage here, but we will see now. Right now we're gonna get a ton of energy, and we see what's coming in right now. We're going to have a shield advantage. We have a lot of energy here. It's going to be a Lucario. I thought that they might want to swap out just to try to catch a move. It did not work out for them whatsoever, but this is going to be a good game, as now the shiny Lucario has nowhere to go, as like a Surf and a Moonblast is going to be easily enough to knock them out, and we can move on into the next game. This next game going to be Weezing against a Sandslash in lead. Again, we don't get like the best matchups ever, like literally we're going to get kind of walled here in general, as we're going to also encounter now the Clefable, something I don't want to see at all. But I have to see right now is I'm going to be able to shield up this incoming Media Mesh, which would knock me out. But I can go ahead and go for the bait, I guess. No, I'm not going to go for the bait yet. I'm going to use the shield against the opponent. Being 2 shields down is also a little bit awkward, but I can go for a close combat, hoping that the opponent is going to shield this move up. Let's see. They do, which is nice. I can go for another one, which let's see if they're going to shield this move up here as well. They will not, and I can knock them out with a Tapu Fini. So like this, we're gonna get out the Weezing, which is actually really good for me. This is exactly where I want to see the Weezing, because like this, I will be able to go ahead and go for a Surf, and Surf gonna do some decent damage, and Water Gun does some decent damage. And I should be even able to outspeed the opponent right now, as we're going to get to the next Surf in time. And please shield this move up, this would be so nice, but they do not. And now it's just a Sandslash against 3 Fairy type Pokemon. Can they win this game, is the question. Let's find out together. We're gonna now go ahead, go into our Xerneas, get the close combat off, at least I thought, but no, they're gonna get to the move in time. It's going to be the Drill Run. I'm going to swap out here right now, but we're going to still have our Weezing, and we just have to hit this one Overheat. Let's see, Drill Run does barely not knock us out. And like this is good game, because they have a shield still left, but what do they want to do against the close combat I have stored up already? And they cannot do anything about it, because Xerneas of course wins CMP, and this 1 HP Xerneas is going to be able to knock out the Sandslash, and we can move on into the final game of today's video. If you enjoyed this video so far, feel free to leave a like on the video, also subscribe if you haven't already, helps out a ton. We're getting closer and closer to the 60,000 subscribers, so thanks out so much for everybody supporting my channel. But here we're going to now see the opponent's Giratina. We can go for a player up again, and I can swap onto my Xerneas, trying to get some Pokemon out of the way, and of course another Scissor is coming our way. But this Scissor is gonna go straight for the Night Slash, which is nice to see, because now we can go for the double close combat, and this either gets a knockout or a ton of damage onto the opponent, or 2 shields. Let's see what the opponent decides to do here. They're gonna go ahead and use both shields actually, which I found insanely interesting here, because why? Like, honestly, why? I can shield up the move here. Hopefully it's an Iron Head. It is a Night Slash. That's kind of awkward. I can go for another charge move, though, right now with my Tapu Fini. It's going to be a Surf, and they're going to swap out. I was like so confused there for a second. Why did it do so less damage? But it's going to be fine. We're gonna now see the Shadow Sneak coming through, and I can get some extra farm here as they're gonna go for another move. And I should be able to swap out now into my Weezing, trying to farm them all the way down. Still going to be an uphill battle right now, especially as they still get to another charge move here, which is going to be just a Shadow Sneak again. I have to try to go for a charge move here against the incoming Scissor. Let's see what they're gonna do. They're gonna go ahead and go for their charge move. I'm going to have to shield this move up to knock them out. Let's see what we can still do here. We're so low, and I don't think we still have seen the last Pokemon of the opponent. Player comes through. It's going to be the Sand Slash, and we can say goodbye to that one as Overheat is going to win this final game, and I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.